G'day, Mr. Fitz here. Hope you're going well. This little video, I'm going to show you stage 2 of building our trike stand. Okay, we've got the basic detail here. Now we need to start increasing our detail. Let's grab the platform. What we're going to do here is add some holes to this. So on our model here, there are some holes. Now, because there's a larger hole at the top and a through hole which goes all the way through, that there's actually called a counter bore hole. So we're going to create a counter bore hole. Okay, start with a sketch, choose your top face. Now I always want this to be along the center line, so I'm going to get a line and I'm going to create a reference line so I can snap to the midpoint of this, run it all the way to the end, and also a line through the middle. So press escape to get out of there. Now that one didn't quite work. You've got to make sure that when you're creating your center line that it snaps to the green point. There we go. It should change the color to tell you that it's constrained. Okay, right click construction, click on the screen, right click construction, click on the screen. Now this gives us some reference now to do our holes. So I'm going to do a hole on one side, so on the center line here and another one here. Now use the equal constraint to make these two holes the same, so equal and equal, and this hole is going to be 8 millimeters in diameter, and the distance between these two holes, center to center, is going to be 65 millimeters. Beautiful. This is a symmetrical part. So the reason why I drew this center line here is that I can now do a mirror. So if I click on mirror, this is the bar here. So I want to mirror this circle and this circle. Click on mirror line. I'm going to mirror about this center line and press apply. And hey presto, I get beautiful holes. Finish your sketch, extrude. So you can click on your 4 holes that you're going to extrude, and I'm going to make them a cut, and I'm going to go distance, I want to go all. It's going to cut through everything. Okay, excellent. There's my 4 holes. Now to do the counter bore, I'm going to do another sketch. Now that these holes are here, life is a little easier. What I can do is I can snap now to the center line. If you hover over that circle, you should be able to click on the center and then draw your circle. So hover, click on the center and draw your circle. Now again, it's symmetrical. So to help me, I'm just going to draw a center line from that point there. I'm just going to draw up into space. Make sure it's vertical. Doesn't really matter that this line goes off into space. Just make sure that it's vertical. So click on it and drag it. Again, right click construction. Now I want these two holes to be equal, and I know that the diameter is going to be 20 millimeters of this counter bore. Okay, don't forget our mirror, circle, circle, click on your mirror line here, I go apply, and you should have nice 4 circles. Finish, extrude. Now again, we're going to use these 4 outer holes. Make sure you click on cut, and these, according to my drawing, are going to be 7 millimeters deep, and go OK. And there we go. There's our counter bore holes. Save your part. Let's go back to the assembly and have a look. All right. So those counter bore holes are on the top, which is correct. That looks good. Okay. Next, I'm going to model up a little bracket here. So this little bracket is what is going to hold the legs in place. So let's model that. So we've got to create a new part. File, new. Always check, as I tell you, that you've got a standard. Yours might look different to mine. Just double check it's got millimeters. You must have a millimeters as your part. Let's create it. Now, for this part here, always good to have a look at your model before you create it and go, well, what's the easiest way to build this? This for me is a single easy profile from the side. So I'm going to build a side profile. So let's start with a sketch. Click on a plane. And let's start. So as I always recommend for you to do, for parts symmetrical, let's make life easy for ourselves and model it around a center line. So I'm going to draw a center line, make it a construction line. Now I'm going to draw along this axis, this detail here. I'm just going to draw it like a rectangle for starters. Now it's a little hard to see with my black center line there, but I'm going to make this line and this line equal. This one and this one equal. No, it's already got that constraint. Beautiful. So I can move this around now. Now that kind of looks right, except the top bit's an arc. So I'm actually going to model in an arc. So put in your arc. This line here, you can make a construction line now. Now, one thing with an arc, if you zoom in here, you'll notice that there's a sharp corner there. To make that a nice continuous curve, there's a little tool here called the tangent tool. And this makes a line touch an arc. So if you click on those two, that one and that one, you only have to do it once. This gives you a nice tangent arc. Okay, beautiful. Now I'm going to put this point here. If I could use the coincident constraint, this will attach a point, this point here, midpoint, on this line here in the center. So that now should be fairly centered. So you can always drag it and see what's going on. Now this line here, I want this all to sit along the center line here. So I'm actually going to draw another reference line. I'm going to draw a line from here to there. Now what I can do is I can make that line there horizontal. Escape, make it construction. By making that line horizontal, my part is now nice and symmetrical. All right, let's put some dimensions on. I know that my overall part length from here to here is 110 millimeters. That scales the whole thing. This arc here is going to be, it's 25 mil diameter on the inside, so I'm going to make this 12.5 as the radius. That should be about right. And this I'm actually modeling on the inside of my shape. So if you see my screen here, I'm modeling the inside line. We'll see what we'll do in a sec. What I'm going to also need is a dimension from here to the top of the arc. And I've measured this one here, and it's going to be 25 millimeters from there to the bottom. Beautiful. All right, then my overall dimensions. Now these all change color, so they should be constrained. Next step, I'm going to offset this line here. So I need this to be a solid. Click on offset. Now that this is all constrained, if I click offset, you will see that I can build the thickness of my part. Now I didn't actually measure that. I'm just going to quickly run my verniers across. This is 2 millimeters thick. So what we can do is just click, then press a dimension, and I'm going to go here to here and make it 2 mil thick. Now, you'll notice that this beautiful offset is perfectly offset from my inside line, but I need to close up these ends because it's not a closed loop. So I can just draw a line between there and there, and at this end, between there and there, whoops, missed it. Just escape and go back. Line between that endpoint and that endpoint. Excellent. That's all closed. I can extrude this. So finish your sketch, press extrude, and we can make this. I like to make it mid-plane, and we're going to make that, how big was it? It's 50 millimeters. Beautiful. Brackets coming together. Now, you'll notice that on this one, it's got a nice arc on the inside. I'm going to add that as a secondary feature. and on the inside it's about 10 millimeters. So I'm going to fill it. I'm going to do a fillet of 10 and 10 on the inside here, here and here, and I'm going to make it a 10 mil radius. Whoops, stuffed it up. Right click, edit feature, 10 millimeters. Okay. Now the inside should be 10 millimeters plus the 2 mil thickness. So that's going to be 12 millimeters from this corner. So click on that edge, and okay. Now that looks pretty good. Now, next thing to add on my design are these holes. So I'm going to do a sketch on the top. Now, I'm just going to model 2 rough holes out here. And to help me constrain these, I can draw some construction lines. So I can pick up the center line here and draw it to there. Escape. I can draw a center line from here to here. Always make that construction, make that one construction. Using my geometric constraints here, I can say that I want this hole and this hole to be equal. I want this line and this line to be equal. And this is starting to take shape. Dimension from the center of this one to this one. This needs to be 65 millimeters to fit up with my other design. So just double check, 65, yeah. That needs to fit into our timber. So 65, done. Extrude on this hole and this hole. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go through all. Done. Beautiful. This part looks almost the same. It just has a chamfer in the corner. So you can go and add a chamfer. You can check the model. That should be in those corners. I'm just going to leave it off for today. Save your file. So make sure you put it in your correct area. And this is going to be called, it is a bracket. I'm going to call it leg bracket. Beautiful. You can change the color as we showed you earlier. And now I'm going to add this to my assembly. So I can place this in now. Leg bracket. Okay. And I can put 2 of these now into my assembly. Excellent. Almost there. So the idea of these brackets is that they're actually going to hold in place your legs. So what I can do, I can start applying some constraints in my model. So the first constraint I'm going to add is going to be on the inside of here of a bracket is this radius, and I've also got this radius here. So if I click on the 2 surfaces, you'll see that it's going to fix that bracket upon the same center. So what this is doing is it's grabbing the center of this arc. You can see this little line here as I hover over it, and it's getting the center of that thing there, and it's going to fix those together. So go OK. Now what? If I move this around, you'll notice that that bracket will flip itself over. Sweet. Looks good. Flips itself over. Alright. Now, this is getting closer to where I want to go. If I roll this over now, what I can do is I can put a constraint. Now, I want to make the center of this hole. Please avoid clicking on an edge. You must choose the cylindrical face. And you can click on that hole there. Apply. Now, what you'll notice is that this has gone inside it. But that's looking pretty good. So these things are moving around a little bit. I can also put a constraint from this face to that face there and go apply. And hey presto, all of a sudden my leg fits in there and rotates. You can see still that this thing moves left and right. That's because I'm missing a few more bits to hold this together. But your leg is now constrained with your bracket. Whee, cool. Now one thing you can do in here is if you right click on this platform and make it grounded, That's going to stop it from rotating. And there we go. Fix the other side.